Yo, now it's the Red Blue Podcast crew. Reviewing flicks, both old and new. Red and blue, not political. Nah, man, chill. It was Marvel versus DC till we lost that thrill. Don't stress the episode, don't ask the season. We double up franchises, don't ask for a reason. Mochi's got rules that nobody gets. His takes on movies, they're wild as it gets. He's got Superbald Mac and Gray by his side. Trying to keep it sane while they're in for the ride. Mochi's measures are out of control, but in the end he's got the final role. Yeah, that Blue Podcast, come check the scene. Movies old and new, know what I mean?
And we are live talking about movies once again. We are talking about Speed and Blown Away. How are you, Matt?
I'm fine. Happy to talk about drug because I like speed. So
Already blacklisted for the YouTubes.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. Happy to talk cinema, and I'm happy to see Speed for the first time. I never see Speed before. I know it's a big movie back then. I wait to. I'm so happy when you tell me that this movie this week. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about this movie. And you guys, how you doing?
How are you, Superbald?
I'm doing all right, you.
I'm doing great. So because Matt didn't know about Speed, I'm assuming you were the one that chose Speed, did you, Superbald?
Yes.
Amazing. So that's the segue. Why choosing Speed?
Oh, it's been a favorite of mine for a long time. It's a great action movie.
Amazing. Do you want to add anything else?
Not right now.
Okay.
Great. So I'm in the same boat as you, Matt. It was my first time watching, and I liked it. But I will let you start, Matt. What did you think of Speed?
So yeah, like I said, it's the first time I see this movie. I know this movie is famous. It's one of the big movie back then. This movie won 2 Academy Award. And this movie revealed Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock worldwide. Back then it was not big star, and the career started with that pretty quickly for Sandra Bullock. Before that, she was not big actress, and after that, she started to be bigger and bigger in Hollywood. And it's a good thing because Sandra Bullock is a very great actress. And so yeah, and it's a great action movie. Interesting for back and then because all the movie is the big story is we follow a story in a bus with a bomb behind, and the bus can stop, and you have Keanu Reeves play a cop try to stop the bomb before the bus crash somewhere. And there's a big concept here, and I like that. I like the intro with the elevator. The movie start intense in few minutes with the bomb and the elevator and the panic and the tension. I like that, and I like the character of Keanu Reeves. He's not a big character in the movie. The story is not big. Maybe it's the problem with this movie. You have not a complex story and not a profound story, but for an action movie, this movie works so great. All sequences are so iconic. I like the concept when you with the bus and Drew and the city and the highway and the end and the airport. I like that. Very creative in their own way. I search other word to say, but it's great. Is not a profound movie, a complex movie, but a great action movie. I know this movie has a sequel. Maybe Superbald can talk more about that. But I know one thing: the sequel was so bad for many things. But one thing, Keanu Reeves don't want to return for the sequel that not deserve not help the sequel movie. And the sequel is not about the bomb in the bus, but about the bomb in the cruise ship, because the character go to the ship, a cruise ship for a honeymoon, I guess, and a new villain use a bomb and the ship to for a new evil plant, I guess. And supposedly this movie was so bad. So many people said this sequel not exist. So
No,
yeah.
I want to see it for all of the wrong reasons.
Uh,
I want to see it now.
I
We'll
think
cover that.
I want to see
it's
this
been a
movie.
long time since I've seen it, but I think it's not even one of those. It's so bad, it's good. It's just bad.
Yeah, I think the actor he chose to replace Cunube as a bad actor, so that not help the
I
movie.
don't even remember who it was. He was so forgettable.
Yeah, that I think. But yeah, for Speed, I think I know why this movie is so famous. It's so cool for this time. It's a great action movie with a great concept, with good action sequence. But like I said, for me, the only thing I think is the problem with this movie is you have no the story in the end. It's just run to the story is around the bomber and the station and the tension to destroy this bomber before the bus crash somewhere, and the concept worked pretty great for that. So yeah, I love this movie. I understand why Super Bowl love this movie. It's a classic of this time, and one of the great movie Kevin Reeve and Sandra Bullock have done. So yeah, I'm happy to see this movie, and I want to hear your opinion about that, guys.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. So that's your cue, Superbald. What did you think of Speed?
Well, um,
Oh
I've had
wait,
the,
wait.
I have owned this movie for a long time. Oh, hey, Gray.
Hey,
Gray's
great!
back. Welcome back, Gray. Amazing.
Good to see you,
This
dude.
a great show.
Hey,
Welcome back. Long
He's
time no
alive.
see.
He's alive.
sort of, halfway. Hey, sorry, Superball. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, hey, no
Please go
worries,
on,
man.
sir.
No worries, man. Good to see you. Yeah, Speed. Just to show you how long and how much this was a favorite of mine. I have it on VHS.
Damn.
I did not when I rewatched it. I did not rewatch it on VHS because
Oh.
I still have a VCR, but it's not compatible with my current TV.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I've owned it for a long time. It's been a favorite of mine for a very long time. Yeah, it's just a great action movie. And like Matt was saying, it's not a very complex story, but it's a very simple story, and it sticks to it. And it's great pacing. It never feels like it's dragging. Very interesting concept. The whole thing takes place on a bus. You know, actually, one of the studios that I think the first studio that actually had rights to the script, they ended up passing on it because they said nobody's going to want to watch a movie that takes place on a bus. um, yeah, this was a huge hit when it came out. I remember. Yeah, it kind of cemented Keanu Reeves as an action star. He had already been in a few action hits, Point Break, a few other things, and he'd been doing different kinds of movies. But this sort of like um, cemented him as an action star, and I think he tried to diversify his career after that, because he didn't want to get pigeonholed as an action star. He did a few other different things, and um, that more or less succeeded. I think the only big hit he had between Speed and The Matrix was, I think, The Devil's Advocate. I might be wrong about that, but I remember his career kind of went up and down for a bit. And obviously, this is the movie that made Sandra Bullock a movie star. She had been in a few things before this, but she wasn't all that well known. This made her a big star. She wasn't very old either when she made this. I think she was like 28 or something like that. The great Dennis Hopper. He's been in a lot of he's been in a lot of great movies. Been in a lot of crap too. The year before Speed came out, he was in the Super Mario Brothers movie where he played King Koopa.
Oh my god.
Um,
Wow.
It was so bad
yeah,
movie.
I think at this point, like this was kind of like one of his last great roles. I think because at this point in his career, I think he was just kind of accepting anything he was offered. Um, yeah. But yeah, very simple, straightforward story. I do have a few qualms with it, especially stuff that I've forgotten about and I notice now in rewatching. At the beginning of the movie, when there trying to rescue the people from the elevator. Yeah, those guys. I don't care how in shape they are; they would be totally exhausted having run up 32 floors. Um, and also, when Keanu Reeves is talking to the other cops, like out of the bus door and everything, that they would not be able to hear each other with the wind. But anyways, I let that pass. Um, Also, what all the carnage they caused by crashing into cars, I'm sure in real life a bunch of people would have been injured or killed. But again, I let that one pass. Um, there's a few tropes of action movies, but that's par for the course, especially for movies of that era. Like especially at the beginning when they drive down. This is was such a cliche of the time. They're going really fast and they start going downhill, and the car becomes airborne and lands, and to make it look like they're in a hurry and they're badass cops. But in real life, that would have just killed their suspension, and that would have been the end of it.
He's the night
Um,
need. He's the night need.
yeah. I don't know. It was a Ford Taurus. Those were pretty rugged, so maybe it had a super suspension that could handle that kind of force. Um, One thing I did notice, and I liked about this, the like simple script, but very efficient script. Nothing happens for no reason, and everything that is said or is seen serves a purpose. There's a trope or something in storytelling called Chekhov's gun, where everything that you see has to have a purpose. And one thing I really liked is one time during the elevator thing when they're having when Keanu Reeves and Jeff Daniels are bantering between each other while they're trying to defuse the bomb. Keanu Reeves says something along the lines like, "Why did I sign up for this?" And he's like, "Oh, 30 more years of this, you'll get a bad pension and a cheap gold watch." Well, foreshadowing. That's how they learned that the bad guy was a former cop who is out of money and he has a cheap gold watch because he used that for the bomb at the end. Um, yeah, a few other things that um, to me in hindsight don't really make sense. Those like if this dude is like hard up for money, where is he getting all of his explosives? Um,
Homemade, it's cheaper.
Homemade, but I mean, still, it's a lot of the things he's using are not available to the general public. I mean, yeah, true, there's a black market, but I mean, if it's on the black market, it costs money. um, but again, I let that slide. Um, yeah, this was as I said, this made Sandra Bullock a big star, a big, Keanu Reeves as well, but it was also a big year for Jeff Daniels because this was the same year that Dumb and Dumber came out, which was also a massive hit. So he was kind of like hot for a while, but sadly his career kind of fizzled out after that. And it sucks because he's a great actor and and those two movies are so different. I mean, it's just an example of his range. He can do action, he can do comedy, he can do all kinds of things. Actually, in the only like recent movie that I remember seeing him in is Looper, and that's like what 12 years old now, 12, 13 years old. Mind you, I'm very, very behind on recent movies, so it's quite possible he's been in a bunch of other stuff that I haven't seen. Or actually, he was in a TV show where he played like a news anchor or something.
Yeah, that was a great show
Yeah.
on the HBO.
Which I didn't watch, but okay, I think that's like
The Newsroom.
the
2
newsroom.
seasons.
Yes, thank you.
One of the best show I see on my life, man. It's so great show.
Yeah, but that's pretty much all I have to say. Or actually, no, I have something else in my notes. The scene where the bus jumps over a gap in the freeway. That gap was actually removed digitally, and that is one of the first movies where they did something like that. And it was actually very well done, especially considering the technology of the time. Yeah, and I do remember on an episode of Mythbusters they actually tested to see if it would be possible for a bus to jump that far with that amount of weight and everything, and no way that would have worked. Apparently, they used something like I think 10 or 11 buses for the whole filming, but mind you, they were all rigged for different types of scenes. One of them was obviously for the jump. One of them, there's the one that they blew up at the end. That was actually miniatures, like when the bus crashes into the cargo plane and blows up. That was done with miniatures because obviously they're not going to blow up a actual 747, considering those cost $300 million. Um, but yeah, that's something I forgot to mention. Is like just the production of this, the very well done. And of course, this was the era where most things were done with practical effects.
The way it should be done.
Exactly.
That's why it's well made.
Like I don't, as I often said, I don't dislike CG, but I think it should be more of a used as a tool to accompany the practical effects, to enhance the practical effects. It's
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say.
Okay, well, it's my go now. I enjoyed that thing. Thank you very much for suggesting it, Superbald. Now I have a take there, but that wouldn't be new. That's in character for me. The first issue I got would be forgettable characters. Like the main villain was cool, but like I feel like every other character were lacking. Even Keanu Reeves, as much as I like the actor, I don't think his character stood out that much.
Well, yeah, I can. Yeah, and there wasn't much chance. There wasn't much opportunity to develop these characters, really, given the
Yeah.
situation. Yeah.
And my second issue would be by the end, the bus was shown to go on spikes. So how did the tire then blow up? Like the bus was
Tires
still
did.
able to roll for like so long after rolling on these spikes. Like what happened there? Did they
Have you
forgot?
never driven on the rims, man? Like you can take a car on the rims on the freeway. You're not going to take it anywhere else after that, but you can still go, man.
But I mean they were still rolling like for a long time. For like a good like I don't know how long in the story, but at least in the runtime of the movie, they at least went for like 10 minutes after rolling on these spikes. So I don't know what happened there. So these were my two issues. Now I gotta say the villain again. I thought that was the best character we had in that movie, and it was very fun. I enjoyed him a lot, and the music was cool. The practical effects were amazing. That's a movie of its time. I feel like if it was made today, we would have gotten a lot more CGI and less practical. Sadly, so I'm glad this movie came out before CGI was a big thing, and the lore around the rules and how the guy really wanted to control what was going on, and that was fun. And having Keanu Reeves being smart enough to realize, oh, I can break some of the rules without breaking it, that was kind of fun. I enjoyed that. So I don't have a lot to say, unfortunately, but that movie was just fun, a fun time from start to finish. And after the bus basically blew up and the main character went after the big villain escaping and taking the Osage and the action with the train, it was all very fun. I feel like you start the movie and you just stick to it. Like you cannot move away and
Oh yeah, it's pretty much action start to finish. There's no real.
yeah.
That's why I like the pacing of it. It's just it never feels like it's dragging.
It's
It's a-
perfect.
It's a good frenetic.
Frenetic.
Frenetic, yeah.
Yeah.
Frenetic, yeah. And what impressed me the most is how much time they spent on that bus, and it doesn't get boring. Like you could think, oh, that's a bus ride, it's boring, but no, there's always something going on. And I think it was you, Superbald, that said it, but like everything matters, and I think that was the strongest asset of that movie. Everything mattered, and that's also something I enjoyed quite a lot. So Speed, great movie, cool villain, weaker cast, but who cares when we got like a
Don't watch the
speedy.
sequel.
I
Yeah,
won't watch it for all of the wrong reason.
I'm intrigued too, but say I read so many things about this movie say that it's so bad movie.
I
So
want to see it now.
I don't think it's a good
For
idea
a
to see.
for a brief period, it was the most expensive movie ever made, and
Wow.
most of that went to one scene. The
It's pretty epic.
the record for the most expensive movie was broken the year after the sequel came out by Titanic, but not by much.
Damn, damn.
And one last thing I must say about Speed, I enjoy all the main villain was just way smarter than the good guys, and that's why he always had the edge. And it felt kind of earned at the end when the good guy triumphed and win because you're
Mhm.
like he just overcame a stronger opponent than him, and it's
Well,
amazing.
that's actually the dialogue. Dennis Hopper says, "I'm smarter than you," and then he gets his head knocked off, and he's just, "Yeah, but I'm taller."
Yeah,
Yeah, he's like
that's
he's freely admitting, "Yeah, you were smarter than me, but I'm taller."
that
He's by a
that's the
head.
highlight. So, Gray, that's your turn now. What did you think of Speed?
Yeah, so I am super glad that Superbald brought this one forward because, man, this one is awesome. It is just a classic. It's kind of the end of those 90s action flicks.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of like another one that's kind of like this, and man, it is kind of the continuation of Die Hard. So a lot of people did see it. So Graham Yost is the guy who wrote this one, and he actually wrote it because he misremembered. Can't remember what the train one is now, but essentially it's two prisoners on a train that the brakes they stop working. But he took it as there was a bomb on the train, so they can't stop, and he just misremembered it. And then that always kind of stuck with him when he was, I think, explaining it to his dad. And he's like, "That would be a good movie, though." So he wrote this while he was actually writing for oh, now I'm blanking. It's the Bob Saget Full House. He was one of the staff writers on Full House at the time.
Really?
And
I didn't know
apparently
that.
he hated every minute of it and was just waiting for this screenplay to sell. I think it sold to Fox first. And then they ended up kind of passing on it because everyone that they tried to get involved was just like,
Yeah,
"But
I
it's
don't think
Die
it's
Hard
Fox
on a
'cause,
bus."
on the box here it is actually has the Fox logo, so I think it was another
Oh,
studio.
yeah. So they must have been the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it passed through about 3 different studios' hands, all while it
Yeah,
did
and
pay
one of them
Graham Yost.
passed on it because they said this nobody's gonna watch a movie that takes place on a bus. They thought it was just gonna be
Exactly, and
boring.
they also thought it was just a Die Hard ripoff. So,
Yeah, at least
so
Die Hard on a
initially
bus.
it was
Like,
only on a bus, which we had already had like Under Siege, which is basically Die Hard on a what was that one? That was this
Under Siege with
vessel of some kind.
Steven Seagal.
A Navy destroyer, I think, or something like that.
Yeah,
With Steven
and,
Seagal.
and
Back then there was
yes,
the
exactly.
thing all studio want Die Hard ripoff, and we had so many Die Hard ripoff back then. One plane with Harrison Ford. I don't remember the name, but Harrison Ford.
Oh,
Air Force One.
Air
Yeah.
Force One, yeah, that was
Yeah.
good. An Executive Decision was another one that's kind of in the same thing. But we've had Die Hard in a bunch of different vehicles. But I can't remember which studio it was, but it was one of the first 3 that were like, you got to take this off of the train. So Graham Yost ended up writing the final part, or sorry, take it off the bus. So he ended up writing the final sequence where it's on the train, but they still basically just had it on a bus and a train, and that was it. And then they tried to take it to the director of Die Hard, and he's like, "What the hell? Like you're ripping me off here. I'm not doing that movie." But they ended up getting Jan de Bont, who, man, this dude was so hot when he was hot, and then just so cold when he wasn't. But Jan de Bont he's this amazing cinematographer. So he did like Hunt for Red October. He was actually the cinematographer on Die Hard. He was on a bunch of these amazing films. And then this was his debut directorial movie, is they allowed him to do Speed. So because he had done Die Hard, they actually had a scene where they were at the top of Nakatomi Plaza, and somehow the crew got stuck in the elevator, and then they had to get like the fire crews to come and let him out. That actually gave him this idea for the scene. So he ended up working with the writers, and then was able to kind of get the start of it fleshed out. but because he had just worked on these action movies, he knew how they should look. And man, there's a certain look to the action in this, but having a director that can truly kind of, they know how to frame an action scene, just man, it makes all the tension in this one just so much higher. And he went on to do a bunch of weird ones, and I think his entire career spans 6 movies. So
5
the first
movies.
was Speed.
Yeah.
Then he was allowed to do Twister, which just what the hell? Speed and Twister? This dude can do
Man.
no wrong.
Too big.
And then he
too
does
big
Speed
hit.
2, Cruise Control.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the first one, he read the script, and when he was reading the script, he was like, "There's no way I'm not making a movie on a bus. That sounds horrible." And then as he was reading it, he just kept seeing how these scenes would kind of play out, and it totally got him. But Speed 2 is actually based on a reoccurring nightmare he had while on a cruise ship. So maybe he should just stick to directing some really good scripts. But sadly, he won't get that chance. But yeah, it was the most expensive movie, Speed 2. From there, he went to The Haunting, and then he finally got to do Laura Croft Tomb Raider, Cradle of Life. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Another
And-
And
bad
I think
movie.
that's the last one he ever directed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all flops after that.
Yeah.
So that sucks. You're only as good as your last film, and Laura Croft. So yeah, there's some like really cool stuff going on here. And then before they got Keanu Reeves, actually Jan de Bont was really pushing for Keanu Reeves, but they tried to get everybody else. They tried to get the Toms. So originally it was Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks. They had a whole bunch of different male actors that they kept trying to push into this, and almost everybody kept saying no, that it's just a Die Hard ripoff. And they went to all of the kind of buff leading men. And for some reason, Stephen Baldwin is who they kind of settled on. And it was originally for the longest time going to be Stephen Baldwin in this main role. I don't know. I can't see it. The dude from
Me neither.
Biodome, just
Me neither.
no way. But I guess one of the kids of one of the studio execs just kind of put Keanu's name forward. And he wasn't really known at the time. So he had done a shitload of stuff, and he was in both Bill and Ted's and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. But and he had done like My Private Idaho, and he had just
And,
done Dracula a couple years before that.
Yeah, and
And
I think his
I think the
biggest
most recent.
his biggest hit up to that point, I think, was Point Break.
So that's the only thing that he'd kind of done outside of that. He
Yeah.
had just done like Little Buddha, where he kind of plays Siddhartha, a kind of deity-esque figure. But yeah, he hadn't been seen as like an action star, and Point Blank really wasn't that like amazing hit that everyone kind of thought it was. For some reason, that still didn't really launch his career. Like it still kept giving him weird ones. But man, Jean de Bont just talked him into doing this. He did not really want to do this at all, but he just thought, hey, I could do this. We're not going to get like a Schwarzenegger looking guy as the action star for this. We're going to get somebody who feels as out of place as anybody else would in this action scene. And man, they really set him down a journey, because after that, he did like Johnny Mnemonic, Chain Reaction, and it just kind of kept going. Devil's Advocate, Matrix, and just action seems to be kind of his go-to now, which for the longest time it was not.
And this career fall off after that with 47 running.
Yeah. But man, just there was a vision that he had. And then on top of that, I can't remember who they almost had as the bad guy, but there were a bunch of different names for that as well. And then they settled on Dennis Hopper. And man, Dennis Hopper had so much after this. How dare you say that this is one of his last great ones? Like right before this, he had done True Romance, Super Mario,
That's
Red
right.
Rock
That's right.
West.
Yeah.
Like all of those were the year prior.
That's true. That is
93
true.
was huge on him.
Yeah, I stand
then,
corrected.
From there, we got Waterworld. I don't know. He
Oh
always did
my
kind of weird
God,
ones
I
after
forgot about Waterworld.
Waterworld, what a unique movie.
that. But he was around until like the late aughts or whatever. So he did a bunch of them, but yeah, he kind of did some weird choices. But there were some really cool ones in there. I like Land of the Dead for some reason. I don't know why. I just like him as that weird rich character in a zombie apocalypse. But yeah, Dennis Hopper is awesome, and he is such a character in this. I just love the kind of weird, over the top insanity, but at the same time, still insane enough to make a bomb, but just a certain believable amount of crazy, if you will.
Mhm.
And then this completely launched Sandra Bullock. She had done a movie prior to this that would be much bigger, but it hadn't released yet. So it was Demolition Man. That also really kind of put her out there and kind of helped America fall in love with her. But
Yeah.
man, this one truly did it. Yeah, she just became a star after this. She had also been in The Vanishing, which I
Yeah.
think we talked about not too long ago. But it's kind of a small part.
But
It's not
yeah,
like,
her role was really small on that because she was the
yeah,
woman who vanished. So we only saw
yeah.
her. We only saw her at the beginning.
And I think she had done like Love Potion #9, but really she hadn't done much. This is the thing that really set her going. And she wanted to do this one called Hope Floats. And the only way that the studio would back her doing that is if she did Speed 2 Cruise Control. So that's why she came back, where Keanu Reeves was just like, no, I'm not coming back to this. And yeah, nobody else decided to come back to it either. So yes, he was replaced. But then, yeah, as Superbald mentioned, it's also got Jeff Daniels, and it is the same year that he did Dumb and Dumber, which is just some of his greatest work. But he's also done a shitload of stuff since then, including up to this year. He's been in a couple TV things, but yeah, he was in like
I'm really
The
out of the
Martian.
loop with a lot of recent stuff. So like, I probably missed a lot of stuff he's done.
You weren't wrong. Like Looper, he's only had like 3 things between Looper and The Newsroom, and then he was in Martian and The Allegiant and a few other things. But yeah, he definitely, this was his time to shine. And he did some
That's
really
right. He
cool
was
ones
in The
around this
Martian. I
time.
forgot that.
But the other big movie from like 94, the big action summer one, was kind of True Lies. So they get kind of compared a lot, Speed and True Lies. So Speed had a budget of 30 million and True Lies had a budget of 115 million. So it is just crazy that all of this could be done with a $30 million budget, a bombs on bus movie. I don't know. It is just like insane to me that they could do that for 30 million. I understand that was $94. So what is that, like 300 million today or something like that? But
Yeah, but True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger is just him costs so much more money.
I think the cast costs a lot in that, but
Yeah.
man, with Jean de Bont being the kind of sight behind this, he did it in a bunch of different aspect ratios that allowed him to really kind of mesh these miniatures that Superbald was talking about. So the elevator shot in the very beginning is a miniature. When they get to the train and the train gets dissected by that pole, that's miniatures. A lot of the train work is miniatures that are like 1/8 the scale. They're still giant, like they weigh like 150 pounds, but they're not a real train. A lot of that work was just miniatures. And then as Superbald was mentioning, like when it jumps off the bridge, coincidentally, they didn't have to build that. The freeway in California was under construction at the time, so they were able to use that, but it only jumped like 3 feet up or something like that. And then they had to do this really cool digital painting. So it's a really cool 3D mat that they were able to put behind it, which is kind of old school, but then they used the digital to kind of take away the new stuff. So it's kind of a blend between old school techniques and then new school. And then they were also did some rear projection stuff. There's some really cool old school techniques that they throw into this one, and man, it just works like flawlessly. But
And it still
the
holds up.
4K
It's still photorealistic.
it does, and it looks good compared
Yeah.
to like True Lies, where True Lies had a 4K restoration not too long ago, and so did Speed. Speed looks amazing. Like there is actually a reason why you would want the 4K version of it. He went with really good quality. Every part about it, you get more information per square inch the way that he did it, because he has an eye for actual, aesthetics coming from cinematography. So he kind of knew what would upscale, and man, did he choose the right format, because it looks amazing. Where I don't know what they did with a lot of these films like in the 90s, but it does not upscale. And when they do like the restoration, sadly, a lot of James Cameron's kind of look like that too. When they do the restoration, it actually looks worse in a weird way. You kind of need that fuzz on it. But Jan de Bont was just like amazing and visionary in this. But man, I need to disagree with Multi so much, saying that there's no characters in this. There is nothing but characters. Come on, you got Jack Traven. He is the bomb expert, but he's willing to risk himself for anything. He will jump in some random character's car on the side of the freeway, and that guy is an awesome character. He's the dude who at first thinks that he's getting held up because no, I own this car. It's like, okay, well, I'm stealing it now. It's just awesome. Like, man, that is a total character. Everyone on the bus is a character. You've got the police captain, who's an amazing character.
That's right.
But,
You have a comic relief. The guys in the cart, the black dude.
Yeah.
All of them. Everyone's a character. So you've got the dude who's he has a wife, but for some reason everything that he's talking about, he's like super horny though. Like for some reason everything is either like about his balls or what. Like it's super.
That's the line he says when Keanu Reeves is trying to get on the bus. He's like, "That dude's got a hard on for this bus."
It's just, I don't know. It's weird. And then you've got Beth Grant, who plays Helen, who's just amazing. She is like the ultimate annoying person in any movie. Like Beth Grant is just, she knows how to do that character, and that is a character. Like I feel like I instantly know her, where she's talking about she just feels more safe on the bus because it's too stressful driving on the freeway. So her Carlos, the dude who thinks that he's come there to arrest him by jumping on the bus while it's moving on the freeway somehow, who accidentally shoots the driver. The driver is a character. Then you've got Annie. Annie is a character. She apparently lost her license because she likes to speed. Perfect bus driver now. I don't know, man. There's nothing but characters. And then you get the characterization between Jack and now I'm blanking on his name, but Jeff Daniels' character.
Harry.
The partners. Harry, thank you. I thought that had to be wrong because of Dumb and Dumber, but yes, Harry.
That's true. Oh my God, that's true. He was also called Harry in Dumb and Dumber.
I was like, there's no way that's the right character.
Yeah.
But like they're in the middle of this thing. It's like the 30th floor that they're trying to get this elevator out of. But suddenly they have time to run to the roof and they're doing games. Okay, how are you going to get out of this situation? Pop quiz, hotshot. Man, like there's so much personality in all these characters. Yes, it's kind of surface level.
That's true. That is the origin of because that was like a catchphrase for a long time. Pop quiz, hotshot. That is the origin of that.
True. And then you've got Alan Ruck, the dude from Ferris Bueller. He's playing the tourist to LA.
The annoying tourist.
Yeah, there's so many characters in this, man. While you might not remember every one of the characters' names, they work on these character types. So for me, that's not an issue. I feel like it is the perfect amount of character parts, but yeah, this is totally a non-believable film. There's plot holes everywhere, and that's the way it should be. Like, he spent 2 years planning this job, but suddenly he can do a much more intricate bus job in like 2 days and can know exactly when Keanu is at certain locations just to mess with this guy. A lot of it is nonsensical, but man, is it a fun popcorn thrill ride. Just they don't make them like they used to. I really dig this movie. It was awesome going back and seeing this one.
Thank you, Superbald. So I'm guessing you are done for now, Gray?
I think so. I guess there's one other thing is I guess none of us talked about the score for this, but this score in this, it's really weird because it was pretty much a symphonic score, but then the composer went to, I can't remember if it was like a scrap metal yard or something like that, and they just found a bunch of metal pieces and just started hitting those. And everyone kind of thinks of the film or the score to this as being like this weird industrial score, and it's not. It really is orchestral with like the added weird percussion of just metal. But everyone kind of thinks of it as kind of like this weird industrial electronic score, and it really isn't. But man, did it kind of change action scores going forward. There's a lot of just kind of metal sounds in them, like literally metal being hit with instrument or with objects. But that deserves a shout out too, because I think the dude only had like 3 weeks or something to work on the score, and man, it's kind of a memorable score. It really adds to the intensity of each one of these scenes.
I agree with that. That was good music. I liked it. Nice count out. With that being said, since you got the mic, what would be your grade out of 10 for Speed?
Ooh, that's a good question. Pure enjoyment level, man, I think it'd be like in the nines. Just I don't know. Every time I turn this on, I can't turn it off. I know exactly what part it's in, and I understand how stupid it is. Like the fact that they can somehow go up to the roof of the building and still make it down to the 30th floor, but also have this crane with enough line to get to the elevator. None of it makes sense, but man, does it work. I think all in all, I'd probably give it like a 7.5. But man, enjoyment level is much higher than that.
What about you, Matt?
Like I said, it's the first time I see this movie, and for me, it was an amazing discovery. I understand why this is a cool movie, is a classic of this time, and it's an easy 8 of 10 for me. Great movie, great action. Like I said, not go to see this movie for the storytelling, but for the action flick and for some good from some good character like Keanu Reeves is amazing as a action figure. He has done many character in action after that, like John Wick recently. He has a good charisma and good presence to do that kind of role. And Hassan Bullock is an amazing actress, and this movie is a movie reveal air for the general public. And so yeah, good movie of the time. So for me, easy 8 of 10.
What about you, Superbald?
My opinion is pretty similar to Gray's. Like, if you think about it too hard, there's a lot of plot holes and a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense. But just pure enjoyment, pure, just turn your brain off and be entertained. It's an incredibly rewatchable movie. I had not seen it in a long time, but I watched it yesterday and I could watch it again right now. For me, it's going to be 8.5 out of 10.
Amazing. Thank you very much. And as usual, I will be the crazy one. 9.5. I adore that thing. Thank you very much.
So the jokes worked.
Superbald. So I guess that's it for Speed, and now we move to Blown Away. And this time around, I think I was the one that chose that one. And the reason is, well, we got Speed, and we got bombers in both movies, and they both came out the same year, and they are both about vengeance with bombers. That sounds kind of cool, and that's why I placed that movie. And I was curious to see if a more thriller than action movie would do the same kind of impact, and it did. I really enjoyed it, and I will let Matt start on Blown Away. What did you think of Blown Away?
Like for Speed, this movie is the first time I see Blown Away. I don't know this movie existed before you talk about this movie. So yeah, I see this movie. I, for me, it was not as good as the Speed. For me, it was a okay action movie. I know this movie was made to be a tribute to the profession of mind of clearance. I don't know if the right translation in English, but this movie is to be a mage for this profession. And the movie was create the way to be realistic about this about bomb and the way the profession worked. So for that, I think the movie was great, and the action was interesting. But as many issue about this movie, I think the best thing about this movie is the main and is the villain, the bad guys played by Tommy Lee Jones. He's so funny, so crazy. In this movie, he's little like he was in the Batman Forever. He used the Tommy Lee Jones. He has so much talent. He can do character so intense and so funny in the same way, and that the way is this movie is this character is played this Irish extreme politic guys who create bomb, and he want to vengeance. He want to go to vengeance this old friend played by Jeff Bridges, the main character, and the two guys from Ireland. And this really they want the vengeance, the bomb, and the you have the craziness about the villain because he's so angry. He lost his life, and he was in the prison for like 20 years, and it's not this whole all the fault is about this friend. Let him to do that. For me, the story was not so profound, so interesting to follow. I enjoyed follow the character of Tommy Lee Jones. He was a good villain, and he have some 2-3 seconds when he in the movie when he done this thing, and you have a music of U2 and background, and I'm a huge fan of U2, the band from Ireland, and for me it was a good second because you have this music. One of the second is build a bomb in this place, and you have the good music of YouTube background. It was a good scene for me. But yeah, in the end, for me, it was not a great movie. I know I read many things about this movie. For many people, it was a great movie. I understand for what, but for me, I don't know. Maybe it was not the right time to see this movie. For me, it was interesting to discover for the what the movie give us. Like I say, the movie was a tribute, homage about the profession of bomber. So for that, I think it's worked pretty great. But other than that, I think the story was not interesting enough for me. But you have a good villain, but it's not. Is not so for me. The movie was okay for that. But yeah, maybe I only one think that I'm tasting to your sorry. I'm interesting to hear what you think about this movie because I will hope the movie was better than that. Because you say you see speed and you see blown away, so I assume this movie was too big movie back then, but for me just speed was that. So yeah, it was a little deception for me this movie. But yeah, it worked to watch this movie maybe one time just for the curiosity and the proposition of this movie. So yeah, I want to hear about you guys.
What did you think of Blown Away Superbald?
I had seen this a long time ago when it came out. I probably saw it on cable. Um, I think that's the only time I ever saw it. Um, so this was like going in fresh for me. I remembered very little about it. Um, and I'm of the same opinion as Matt. It's not as good as Speed, but it's an okay action movie. I don't think I'd ever watch it again. But it does have its high points. Tommy Lee Jones he's really having fun in this movie. You can tell.
Yeah.
He's really losing himself in the role. Um, the Irish accents, though, Tommy Lee Jones and Lloyd Bridges, their Irish accents are terrible, though.
Yeah, I was
they're
like, why use two American actors to play two Irish guys? I was like,
yeah,
that makes
their
sense for
accents
me.
were just awful. But anyways,
Yeah.
um, I don't really have a whole lot to say about this one. I found this one dragged a little bit. Um, it is an interesting story, though, and I'm a bit surprised that this movie wasn't too controversial when it came out because it deals with the IRA, and maybe it would have been more controversial over in Ireland because of the subject matter, because this was when what they called the Troubles were still going on, and it was before the Good Friday Agreement. Um, so IRA is a touchy subject over in Ireland. Um, yeah, but again, this movie made in the era of practical effects. So a lot of the explosions we see and all that's all practical effects. The boat that explodes at the end, that they really did blow up a boat, and it's not a miniature. They really did blow up a boat in the harbor, and apparently, it shattered about 8,000 windows in the vicinity.
Damn.
Wow.
the
They
from the
had the balls
from
to do that.
yeah
Impressive.
from the concussive force that actually shattered windows in the area. Um, uh, yeah, as I said, Tommy Lee Jones has lost himself in the role. He was having fun, and it showed. His character that was, I don't think it was a lot well fleshed out, but anyways, he was great in the role. Um, Lloyd Bridges, who played the older guy Max, he is actually Jeff Bridges' father. um, and this was one of the last movies he ever did. He did a few more after this. He died, I think, about 3 or 4 years after this came out. Um, and even though he was like kind of a Hollywood legend, they actually had him audition for this movie because at this point in his career, he was doing a lot of comedies. He'd been in Airplane, Hot Shots, and those kinds of like gag comedies. So they actually had him audition to see if he could still do, drama or action. Um, uh, I'm trying. I didn't have time to take notes for that one, unfortunately. So I'm kind of trying to go off memory here, but I don't have a whole lot to say about it. Um, it is, yeah, like I said, a good movie. I don't think I'll watch it again.
Interesting. I feel you. I actually like it, and as usual, I have very odd takes there. We are there for my odd takes, right? Right? I'm joking.
No.
I'm
Actually, I
joking.
do remember one thing.
Oh,
I found myself wondering. Okay, this dude escapes from prison in Northern Ireland. How the hell does he get to Boston? Like,
I have the
because
same thought. I have the same
he,
thought.
he is a fugitive on the run. So obviously this guy doesn't have a passport, and if he did, that he would get caught right away.
he
So
swam. He swam.
yeah,
Yeah.
He's
yeah,
been
okay,
swimming.
yeah, he swam across the ocean, and also where again, sort of like Speed, where is he getting his explosives and all his stuff? This dude is like he's a fugitive on the run, doesn't have money. How is he getting all these things?
Yeah.
But anyways,
The movie got
those are
slightly
the kind of
worse.
things that you just have to like suspend disbelief when you watch a movie.
Hilarious. I like that. So that movie, I liked it, and I didn't know what to expect outside of there's a bomber and it's about bombs. So that's what I knew about that movie coming into it, and it did deliver lots of bombs. I liked it. My first issue would be the first hour wasn't great. Uh, it was the pacing basically. Lots of shots were just there to say, "Look, I am pretty." I thought the movie
Yeah,
was
it
very
dragged.
slow.
There was some padding.
The movie was very slow, and it was unfortunate because I feel like it has something special, and it's just wasted because of that first very long hour. Um, Now the second hour is actually really good, but really the first hour it's kind of long, way too long. My second issue, I will sound like a broken record. Characters are forgettable. I was like, yeah, these characters are kind of weak. None of them are really memorable, and I feel like they didn't really take that much time to flesh them out. The villain again was kind of cool, but like every character, you can just remove him. Like maybe the other exception outside of the main villain would be the new recruit, but even there, the new recruit didn't do much impressive thing to make him stand out, and he didn't get that much growth. That's a bit unfortunate. But yeah, characters. I'm someone that will give a pass to a movie if it has memorable characters, and it's fortunately not the case here. But it's the same thing as Speed. Um, so I still enjoy the experience. I started with my issues, and now let's get into the nice stuff I enjoyed. The main character desire to retire made sense because he wants to spend some time with his family, and that was fun. That was cool. And what else? Well, the student not being ready was nice, and I don't remember if it was really because the guy wasn't ready or if the main character thought that that student wasn't ready. This I can't remember, unfortunately, if there was something going on there in the story. Um, the third thing to mention, the wife not hiding anymore was nice growth, and again, I feel like the music was very good, just like Speed. We had strong music.
You
Um,
too, man. You too.
Yeah,
we need
I'm not a huge fan of U2, but this was some of their better music, and it was used very effectively.
we need more music like that. And the villain was entertaining. Again, he was probably the best part of that movie. The villain, I enjoyed
Easily,
him,
easily, yeah.
and the main character saving the guy in the chair with the headphones was fun. That was like in the last hour ish, and there's a lot of tension when they disarm these bombs, and I think that was one of the highlights because you feel like the characters can indeed die, you know,
Hmm.
and that's fun when you just look at them disarming, defusing the bombs. That was fun. That was something that movie did well. The tension, the pressure, uh, and I thought the acting, even if the characters were kind of weak, the acting was solid, so it kind of redeemed that aspect for me. Um, the final fight versus the villain was great. The new recruit saving the main character was also cool, and um, again, the actors they did a very good job, and I will say that movie for me is it. I enjoyed it. It's very good, and maybe I'm crazy to say that. And unfortunately, I don't have a lot more to say because these are my thoughts. I enjoyed the trip. Uh, it's it's slightly worse than Speed. I'd say Speed was above that, but it's similar. They are in the same
Hmm.
realm of power level and such. Uh, yeah, exactly. Gray got it right. So with that being said, I will ask Superbald, what would be your grade out of 10?
For me, this is going to be like 6.5.
Okay, and what about you, Matt?
Yeah, it will be similar as the Super Bowl. It's not a great movie for me. I see why this movie has. I see the quality of this movie. I like the character of Tommy Lee Jones, and you have the music of U2, so a good point for me. But like you say, the pacing have some problem and the development of character. I never immerse myself in the story and the character. So maybe it wasn't the right moment to see the movie for me. I don't know. And I looked for the director. I was intrigued about who directed that. It was Stephen Hopkins, and he have done another movie. I see is Predator 2, and Predator 2. The pacing was so great. So it's interesting to see two different take of the director.
Yeah, and this director hasn't done a whole lot. I checked it out too, and he's done a lot of sequels. Like he directed like I think a Nightmare on Elm Street 5, um, stuff like that. You know, he hasn't done a lot of big well known movies.
Yeah, I see that too. So yeah, for me is I give him six of 10. I see the KT. I like the concept. I know the idea of image is a good thing. And like I said, Tommy Lee Jones has so fun in this movie. So it's fun to it's interesting to follow him in that. So 6 of 10.
Amazing. And I will sound crazy, crazier than usual. That's my motto. That's my way of thinking. 9.5, just like Speed. But again, I like Speed more. They are like on the same realm, but Speed was better or more enjoyable. Anyhow, these were my thoughts. I enjoyed Blown Away. That was a fun experience, despite the first hour that was lacking. That was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. No regrets whatsoever. With that being said, what do you have going on your end of the internet, Matt?
Nothing new, like always, I read about the thing I saw and but in French, so not for the podcast. Other than that, I'm a boring life. I'm work, I'm gaming, I see movie, and I repeat that and that, and forever and ever. So yeah, nothing new for me.
What about you, Superbald?
Same old. I'm just doing this podcast.
Amazing. With that being said, on my end, tomorrow I will react.
I see the comment. Grace said
Yeah.
the first hour sucks, so 9.5 of 10. Amazing.
Okay, I get it. Okay. Tomorrow, I will react to the new Superman trailer, Superman Legacy with D-Lord. And Thursday, we talk about Final Destination. And after the Final Destination talk, I will probably talk about Hurry Up Tomorrow, a movie that just came out last week, I believe. And usually I'm not a big fan of musicals, but that one I felt things. That was a very good movie. If you didn't have the chance to watch Hurry Up Tomorrow, go do it when you can. That's a great movie. So far, it's my favorite movie this year. And for a
Damn.
long time, it was Companion. Companion was on top, but Hurry Up Tomorrow just beat the crap out of Companion. And I still like Companion a lot, but Hurry Up Tomorrow, I felt a lot of things leaving that room. I could relate to a lot of things that went down with that movie. It's actually now my favorite movie ever. Hurry Up Tomorrow. Go watch that. It's worth your time. And I will talk about that right after Final Destination Thursday. With that being said, next week is a big week because that's the last week before the summer break we are taking. We will talk a bit backstage after, but yeah, that's what's going on. Next week we talk about justice stuff, and Reservoir Dog and bunch of old movies. It's fun. We like doing that. And with this, we are out. Thank you for watching. I was glad to see Gray again, and we are gone.
Yeah, Red Blue Podcast. Come check the scene. Movies old and new. Know what I mean? The Red Blue Podcast. Come check the scene. Movies old and new. Know what I mean?